Okay, so this is just a kind of build on the last video where I showed some of the basic things you can do in MaxScript to build dialogues. I only showed a few basic things for creating dialogues, like a button and some like really basic things on how to like if statements and how to use the different classes such as the class to build a box. Very basic stuff, very entry level stuff. I just want to build upon that last one because I feel like this ties into it, and that's how to build dialogues through the visual editor instead of doing things purely by scripting. Because I understand the scripting might be a little bit boring. There's a thing in MaxScript called the visual editor, and it's present in all versions of 3ds Max, and it provides a way to create a form, a dialog form, where you can then add buttons in a dynamic position and size and stuff like that. So this is our dialog here. Unfortunately, this doesn't provide us with a way to preview the dialog. So you have to just, what you see here is just what you're going, just imagine that's what you're going to get when you execute the script. Okay, so this is what we would get. We get a small box. All right, we can expand it out, give ourselves some rooms to work on. And at the bottom here are all the controls that we can work with. Okay, oops. There are custom controls that you can use, ActiveX controls. I haven't explored those. I've only used the 3ds Max controls, which are found in the documentation here. Okay. This is the wrong one actually. Let's see if I go back here. You can find that under the rollout interface control types, and these are the ones that I typically use, not the ActiveX ones. Okay, so let's just do a couple things in here. So we got down here is a button. Create a button. What else we can do? We can do draw a button. Nah, pick button. Yeah, checkbox. I like checkboxes. Oh, let's just check button. We'll keep the check button as well. Do a checkbox. Oh, that's the same thing. We got here. We got do an edit box. Why not? We'll do yeah, checkbox. I don't know, checkbox. Let's do checkbox. All right, sweet. Drag this out, and I think we'll leave it at there. We got plenty to deal with, um, and we can just move these around wherever we want. They don't have to be in a defined spot or anything like that. We can have this in here. You can type in a label over here, one of the property fields. In this case, if you wanted to put a caption here, it's under caption. You just call this value or something, and it just pops up on the side. Unfortunately, the editor is kind of primitive, and you don't have a lot of access to its render properties, so you can't really move the text from the left to the right or change any of the fonts. It's set as a global setting within Max, so fortunately that's one of the bigger drawbacks of using the Max controls. That can be subsided by using another type of API like .NET, or maybe even the ActiveX controls, which I haven't explored. But for the most part, this works for me, and I just use these. All right, so we can just move these around, and we just scale this to where we were comfortable with, and that would be it. And the other thing you can do in your properties is you can change the name. So this is called button. Um, we can call it something else. Click me. Okay, and so we can change some of the basic properties um, of each item when we click on them. Okay, but anyway, so for the most part, I think we're done. There are things in here actually. Before I go, I'll just mention um, some really basic things up here, which are for grid alignment. So if we enable the grid, you can see these little dots here, and it'll help snap things together. But let's say I wanted to space all these controls out evenly down vertically. We can go down to align, or space across, no, down, and it will space them across, or down evenly. We can even align them to the center of the horizon. No. All right, another caveat. There's no undo button. If you can believe that, there is no undo button. All right, that kind of sucked. Let's just do this again. Let's just space these out here. I want this here, this here, this here, this here, and this here. Well, that just kind of shows kind of the downside of the visual editor. Unfortunately, I don't have any good news for you because they never updated this going forward. So in all versions of 3ds Max, this is exactly the same. There's no undo button still. Anyway, so we can use vertical. So from my mistake, you can learn not to do horizontal because that'll screw things up. Anyway, so those are some of the things that I thought was worth mentioning because it will actually help you kind of clean up some of your controls and their positioning and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to be able to save this. Let's save our dialog. I'm just going to call it test. And it's going to save as a Visual Max script. And it's different than a MaxScript. It's just the visual layout of your MaxScript itself. So we have to save it again to actually get the MaxScript script. So we're going to change this to MS. I'll just call this test 2 or test 1, whatever. And now we can close this, and we can actually check out our script. So we can go down into Open. And let's see here, it should be up in the last recents. There it is. And there it is. So now it gives us that code snippet. So we get that the rollout command. Our variable is called unnamed because we didn't set it. Title is unnamed, we didn't set it. Those are the width and height that we specified it to be at. And it uses a different indent style than I do, so I'm just going to change this to what I prefer. And then we have our different controls. So they all have a position now, and a width, and a height. So that should be noted. Now to execute this, we need to invoke the create dialog command. Oh, dialog. Okay. And then when we execute this, it will create the dialog. Okay. There you go. Pretty sweet. Okay. Now, of course, you want to add functionality to this. You have to use the corresponding event handlers. So, for example, for a button, we would type in on button 1, press do, and we'll just send a message. Hello. Actually, let's take it from the edit box. Why, let's not do this. Let's do that. We'll do a condition statement. If this dot text equals or not equals empty, then we will do. I'll just encapsulate this, and we'll just put a text here. Yeah, how would do that? How would we do that? Okay. We can even do a different. I don't want to make it too complicated. Let's just run this, and we'll see that work. So I click me. Nothing will happen because I didn't type any value down here. So I type in a value here like hello, and now I hit the button, and then I say hello. So that's just a way of using some of the dialogues and how you can interact with some of the other ones. But of course, we could do more complex things in 3ds Max that are more, utilitarian, which actually do something or do work for you. So maybe I'll cover that in another video. But that's just one way you can make something visual and then script it in. It's pretty fun. All right, thanks for watching.